Hey everyone, welcome to All About the Joy, Culture, and Consequence. Andrea's in the house. I'm Carmen, your host. And we're kind of changing what we were going to talk about, but we'll get to it because we kind of have to talk about what happened, the murder of Charlie Kirk. And Andrea, I want to get your thoughts before I go off on my tangent.
My thoughts. I don't want anybody to be shot to death. I truly don't. And I desperately wish that that wasn't something that happened in this country every single day, but it is. On that note, I did a little research in preparation for what I knew we would have to talk about this morning. And I looked it up, and there were 48 gun deaths yesterday reported in the United States. This is on gunviolencearchive.org, sourced from law enforcement, government, media sources. So 48 people died, that we know of in the United States yesterday. This particular person was a person who openly, publicly encouraged and advocated violence, political violence. This person was someone who fought against restrictions on guns that could have prevented his murder, as well as the murders of the 47 other people who died and countless others before that. This person publicly stated that he felt gun deaths were worth it. So I will save my new age empathy and sympathy for the 47 other families who lost someone yesterday. And that's how I feel about it.
So this is where you and I are going to fight. So because, I posted a couple of TikToks, and of course I'm getting so much backlash, which is the point because I want the conversation to happen. But I think what's lacking and has been lacking for a long time is empathy and our ability to just have some fucking dignity. Like, I understand what you're saying. I don't have any love for Charlie Kirk. I think he was a fucking asshole. But I still have the ability to be like, this is wrong. This is not good. I feel bad for his kids. I don't give a fuck about the adults in his life because they should know better than to follow someone like him. But the idea that we're okay or justifying that 47 people should have empathy and one person should not, because the whole definition of empathy is not about being able to agree or understand anybody. It is to be able to say, there, but for the grace of the universe go I, for those of us who are not God crazy people anymore. But I'm just saying that's empathy. This is why Trump can easily put officers on the street, and those officers and Trump don't give a fuck about immigrants because they have no empathy. They don't care about humanity. And so what I'm trying to say, and what seems to be getting lost, is you can hold more than 1, 2, 3 thoughts as a fucking evolved human being on the planet and say Charlie Kirk was an asshole, and yet this is wrong and this is not how we do things. And I have pain and sadness for his family, for the people that did love him, because he was a human being. And that doesn't negate my feeling for 47 other children. Look, there's a gun problem in this country. That's a whole other motherfucking conversation. And yes, everything that man did, especially to people who were not like him. So white people. I'm just going to say it because the list is long.
And then,
okay? Yeah, I'm just saying that, but that does not mean we're lacking empathy and compassion for humanity. Not just with the Charlie, just in general. That's why Trump is so in office, and because nobody gave a fuck about what he was going. Farmers, great example. They're all crying now, but they had no empathy or sympathy for what was going to happen to other people. So until it happened to them, they didn't give a shit. And that's what I think is the bigger issue that I'm upset about right now. I'm furious about it. And one last thing, and then I'll let you rebut or whatever, is all these doctors and therapists that are all over TikTok, and some of them are legit, but they're all like, it's okay. It's okay to feel what you're feeling. It's okay. And not going down the rest of it. I can feel whatever I want to feel. But to act as if that wasn't a human life is weird. Or to not give a shit about the 47 other is weird to me, that we are cold fucking people to humanity, to human beings. I was going to drop in Gaza, but I'm not. Because
just put it all at the table, girl.
I'm so fucking pissed right now. Yeah.
Well, I started with, I don't want anyone to get shot to death, right? It's horrible. It's wrong. I don't want that for anybody. I really don't. Him or anybody else. I just have to be honest. I'm having a difficult time working up any real feeling about it other than the general, it's a horrible thing that someone got shot to death, just like it is for the other people.
But I think that's fair. I mean, I think that's okay.
That's where I'm at.
You're not getting on social media and laughing and joking and making, like, you're not taking it to this. That's the other part of it, right? We've lost our ability to have just a little bit of dignity, a little bit of fucking manners. And I'm sorry, I'm so thrown by how easy people are just being vile. And then we get upset because people are not compassionate or nice to us when our people are murdered. What the fuck? Like, why is that a thing? Like, our people who were murdered? How come we don't have compassion? No.
Well, look, I'm going to go on my mini tirade here about social media, right? Like, this is one of the reasons I'm not on social media. There are all kinds of other reasons for sure why we are where we are. But there is something about this, let me put every thought into my head out into the world and let me make it so extreme and crazy and whatever that it will get attention. And, I don't know where on the spectrum some of these people are. Do they really believe that? Or are they just trying to get attention or, go viral or whatever it is, right? Like, I don't know where they are, but it doesn't help, right? It does not help to have all of these places where you can just put your ridiculous thoughts out into the world and be a fucking moron.
Okay, but we're using social media right now. I mean, I think that's where the problem is. Like, I hear you, and that's a different conversation about social media that we should definitely have on this show, because I actually think social media is a good thing. I think technology is a good thing. So I hear you. I hear you. I just think that's a different problem altogether. And
it's a part of this conversation, I believe. I believe it's a separate conversation, but it is a part of this, what you're talking about.
And I actually think there's more good from having social media than not. It's connected the world in different. That's why I think it's a whole other conversation we can have, which we can go down this if you want. But I just feel like that might be I think the lack of empathy would still be happening right now if we didn't have social media, if we didn't have TikTok or whatever. I still think as this country has moved forward and it's not just this country, but society in general, I've said this before, people get all creamy and sad and shed a tear when they hear a story about a child who was in a taxi or something with their parent and they found a wallet and they brought it back to the police department. Everyone's like, oh my God, that's such a feel-good story. No, that's what you're supposed to do. That's not a feel-good story. That's a fucking regular thing. But because we don't have the ability to see things and have emotional connections, that's what we think is a big thing. And then something like this, we're okay mocking. And I can't even believe I'm motherfucking, what the other thing is pissing me off is that I have to fucking sit here and kind of defend this shit. Like, I'm pissed about it. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just angry about it. And I hate how I watched a whole bunch of fucking right-wing podcasts yesterday, or Christian, and I'm doing fucking quotes, podcast. And that's the other side of it, right? The bullshittery of pretending who he was. That's the other extreme. it's just mind-boggling to me. It's mind-boggling to me where we're at. I don't know. Breaks my heart.
Yeah. I don't know. I honestly, I don't really know what to say about it. Like that, yeah, that it sucks where we're at. I guess that's not the part that bothers me the most about it. I don't know. You know, to me, the tragedy yesterday was that someone had the ability to purchase a weapon that could kill him. And that's a tragedy that happens to people every single day and all over the country.
With my years of watching NCIS and Law and Order, I just want to say that was a professional hit. And that was a fucking sniper. It was like 600 feet away. It was on a rooftop. There is so much that goes into doing that. That was a professional hit. And I'm going to make a guess here. I don't think that's the last of it. And I wouldn't be surprised, totally throwing out a guess here, like just a guess, that we're going to find out that, first of all, I don't think it's the last of it. And secondly, that it's probably somebody who is on the right. You know what I mean? Like that's I just,
well, will we find that out? I don't know, but
well,
let's just put some circumstantial evidence on the table. It was in Utah. It was apparently the picture they've released is a young white man.
Wait, they released the picture? No. No. The two people that they had in custody are not.
They released a picture today, this morning.
All right. Well, him being white is not.
I know. I know
that was going to be it.
It was, as you said, I don't want to say a professional hit, but a skilled,
very skilled
person,
NCIS alum.
And so you put together those, again, very circumstantial and whatever, like that evidence points to someone on the right, not, a coastal elite having brunch and, getting his soy latte and walking over to the, prove me wrong rally to pop off.
We'll see. But yeah, I didn't know that they put up, oh my God, and the brilliance of like someone like Kash Patel, who is so incompetent. There was like 15 different, they did catch him, they didn't catch him. So they haven't caught him yet though, right? As of this recording.
Correct.
Which is Thursday morning at 10.
I looked a few, before I started my crossword puzzle.
Right, exactly. It's just so weird. But yeah, and here's the other thing, that you're right. I don't think we will find that out. Not with this administration.
That doesn't go with the narrative that they have already produced and put out.
Mm-hmm. Right. So. That it's the Democrats' fault, which is like, that's the other part of it, right? Not having etiquette, not having manners, not realizing that your words are going to incite more violence. But here you are, someone in a position of power, and your first thought, and I'm talking about all the Congress people that came out, all the, you know what I mean? Like, and of course, Trump and everyone else who's like, and just fueling the fire so that we can
know exactly what they're doing with their words.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely. So yeah, that'll be interesting. I just hope that no one else gets hurt. I honestly don't want anyone.
It's horrific.
Scary.
It's horrific. And I don't want to be that guy, but like just over a month ago, a congresswoman in Minnesota was assassinated in her home in the middle of the night.
And her husband.
And her dog, yes. In the middle of the night by an extreme right-wing, Christo-fascist dude pretending to be a cop. So right. This is not the first. It was horrific and terrible then. It is horrific and terrible now.
Mm-hmm.
And
I didn't see all the Christian, all the podcast, I didn't see all that empathy. I didn't see all that consideration. And that's what I'm trying to say, right? Because we're so
you're not going to. Like
we're so desensitized to violence in this country too. We just are.
Well, and like the pundit class, or whatever you want to call them, like this, even on the left, like it's one of us. You know what I mean? It's not just, those gangs in the streets in the cities, right? Like it's one of us that was gunned down in broad daylight. It's like, yeah, that's the terror, literally, that pretty much every American lives with. We can't send our kids to school. People can't go to church. You can't go to the grocery store. You can't go to the movies. You can't go to a music festival. You can't just be driving down the street in your car. People are they're having feelings, which, for some is a new experience.
Yeah.
And they're acting like toddlers who don't know how to manage them. This means war. Oh, it's like, war against what? Take some guns back, motherfuckers. Like, that's what
I am so tired. The irony is it's like 76% of Americans believe there should be more gun restrictions or whatever, safety gun laws or whatever. And it's the irony that we keep voting people in. And of course, the NRA still has the power that it has. And the idea that guns are not part of the problem, although this hit, again, NCIS professional here, I'm just saying, this seems like somebody who it wasn't somebody who went and just bought a shotgun or took their mommy or daddy's. This seems like something
they should not have access to a military grade weapon.
That
you
part.
Can't, if you're in the military, which possibly this is where this person learned how to do this. You don't just get to walk off the base with your rifle. You're like, oh, I'm going to go home for the weekend. I'm going to take my gun. Like, the access to this level of weaponry is
ridiculous.
Yeah, right. Like, what do you even say? Like, nobody should have that.
And it's weird because there are other countries that live without gun violence every day. And I think they have mental health issues too. Like, it's just, as Americans are so delulu.
Fully formed right-wing factions and all kinds of, a lot of the issues that, they have people who are anti-immigration and, whatever. They've got all of the things that we have, except the gajillions of guns.
Yeah. I think there's a gun for every adult in the United States.
I believe there's more than one gun.
Yeah. Well, these are the guns they know about, because then there are all the other guns we don't know about. But imagine that. There's enough guns for at least one. I mean, there's one gun for at least every person in the United States. That's crazy. At least one.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Yeah. And then we don't have the emotional maturity to deal with anything, because if we're angry about anything, right, we don't use our words. We then want to shoot people, which, is part of the problem. We don't know how to fight.
They don't love me enough. Let me go kill 40 people.
Can you imagine?
I
mean, yes, we can, because we live with this bullshit every day, but it's just a weird, like, on that part, I feel, this is where I'm against Republicans 100%. The whole gun thing is ridiculous. It's just, and how would you get them off the street now, right? I mean, it can be done, but it's just so saturated in our culture. And this standing behind, it's so funny how we stand behind our Constitution when it's convenient to keep our guns, but not when it's convenient to actually give rights to other people, right?
Right.
Yeah. Interesting.
I mean, the levels of hypocrisy are, comical at this point. Like, it's almost not worth it to point it out, but you have to point it out because you can't let it slide. But, like, come on. The Second Amendment is apparently so sacred that any piece of machinery that could kill another person is allowed for anybody. And you can walk around the grocery store in it in some places. You know what I mean?
I think it's one of my favorite visuals is to see, like, and it's always white fat men generally. I mean, I've seen some black stupid men too, but generally white fat men with like bellies or whatever. And they have like 15 guns and they're at like McDonald's or whatever, whatever Wahlbergs or whatever it is. And down south, whatever the fuck they have. It's like, what are you doing? Like, what is that about, that show of force?
You definitely look tough and not scared to death, for sure.
Yeah. No. Totally tough and manly. Very manly. Yeah,
So
that's
manly.
very manly. So that's always one of my favorite Americana images that I think is just so indicative of how ridiculous we are
It's
in this country.
really, I've been in places where there's open carry and you see it live and in person, and it's like, as a human being, you see that type of gun and you're like, I'm getting the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to be around anybody that has that going on,
Right.
because who knows what's happening up here? Nothing good, obviously.
Well, I don't have an issue. Well, I do. I have issues with guns. I don't even want to. I think we should not have guns. I want to be very clear about that. That is not even a question. But if you are somebody who's like, you're a detective or you're whatever, and you have your gun on you and it's like, why is it not concealed? Right? Like, why? You know what I mean? Like, you're off duty. You're going to stop at McDonald's, you know? But we're talking about people who are strapping shit, have like the rifles, and it's like you clearly put that on and took it with you out the car so that you could go into this, so you could make a show of I am strong.
It's like cosplay, right? It's a
Yes.
costume.
Yes.
I am dressing up as a tough dude who can't be messed with,
Yeah.
and I need everybody to see it because I actually feel really small, and I don't know how to. I don't know how to get therapy.
Right. And I have a teeny weeny one. That's all. Like, I'm sorry. Like, I don't know that. And like old people driving Porsches. Sorry. It had to be
old dudes on Harleys, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I'm totally okay. I don't want to hear it from anyone, but I'm just saying it just feels the same. Yeah. I don't know. And why is it never women who are snipers? You know, like, was the white person they showed a woman?
No.
Is it weird for me to kind of think that, I'm not saying there aren't women killers out there, right? We know that there are. Is there a way in which we can start trying to think as a country that it might be a good idea to maybe have a woman in power at some point? I know. Blasphemy.
Stop. Oh my God. Now you've really gone mad.
I'm just saying. And then the right will say, well, yes, we're not against that, but it has to be the right woman.
Christy Nome.
Yeah, there's a great thought. Can you imagine the most qualified women who have run for office? And no, I'm not talking about Sarah fucking Palin, because no. Like, having so much more than any man who's ever been president. And because we're not ready for that either. We're not ready for that at all either. But I'm just saying, I have not seen women running around with machine guns. I don't know. I'm sure they're out there. I don't live in the South. I don't.
There are, I'm sure, but.
Well, those are the ones who have the Christmas cards with their kids holding all the, right? The family, everybody's holding their guns and stuff. So,
yeah.
My apologies.
Right. But it's, as far as a woman being in power, I mean, we know how that goes, right?
It's not going to happen in our lifetime. I don't think so.
No, I don't think so either.
Isn't it sad?
It is sad
about that.
It's super sad. And I was just talking to someone yesterday. Like, I don't think that what is happening now will be significantly better in my lifetime.
Oh, yeah, I agree with you.
Like, we're on a trajectory that I actually, sadly, don't think we bottomed out, And
are
takes,
you serious?
Yeah.
And
it takes, if you just look at this, when other countries have been kind of, taken over by authoritarians, it takes decades to come out of it.
I was thinking about how we would fix this, in the next election, if we have one. Seriously, like how whoever the nominee is going to be, but let's just pretend it's Gavin Newsom or whatever. Because it's going to be a white man. There's no conversation.
It better fucking be a white man. I hate myself for even saying it, but like, it needs to be a white man, honestly, from somewhere in the middle.
Yep. Like, it's so weird. Yeah. So I mean, does he just sit down the first 3 months and start writing executive orders that reverse everything? It's just not going to be that easy, you know?
No, our entire federal bureaucracy, and we all have our feelings about bureaucracy, but like, the lifetime civil servants who have decades of institutional knowledge, our scientists, our statisticians, our lawyers,
our FBI agents, our judicial system. Yeah.
Like, they're gone.
Yeah.
And all of the knowledge of what came before and how things actually work and how you get things moving, administrators, payroll clerks.
Right.
I mean, the people who actually do the work, right? Like, they're gone. This is not a, like, best case, most rose-colored scenario. Democrats take back House and Senate in 2 years or whatever, in 26. That's a year. 26.
Yeah, 26.
And then maybe the presidency again, if we even have elections, whatever. This is still like a solid, I think, decade away from even becoming something normal again. And when I say that, like, the country that we knew does not exist anymore. We have to recreate at this point.
Well, and I shook my head a little bit because, and you taught me this, the country we had before actually was a lie. So
I know, like, all of it's flawed, but I'm saying, like, yes, what we thought we had, but even what we actually did have, flaws, warts, and all, is actually gone, in terms of what it looks like to actually run a country.
Yeah. You're talking about the technicalities of how we run a country, right? And I'm thinking of, the hope, the aspiration, the possibility, right? We're talking about
I'm talking about the actual show up to the office and do the work part of the country.
Yeah.
Those people are gone.
But I wonder if they'll come back. I mean, I don't know if, I wonder if there is, like, okay, so I want to be more optimistic and just hope that there is a way you can fix some of the technicalities of this. I'm more concerned that the actual thing that makes America great is that idea of hope and possibility, and you can come here and be somebody and whatever. Like, we can find a way for people to, the American dream was always a facade. I think we're all realizing that now. But it would be sad to think we can't get back there again. That's, I don't know. I don't know. I know that I'm broken about it, which means something, because I've always been rah, rah America. And now I'm like, yeah, blah.
I mean, look, it's, I would love to have some optimism and some hope. I long to find it. But like, you can't have those things without a functioning country. You know what I mean? Like, without the people who show up every day and make sure that people get paid, people get their papers stamped that they need to go and do whatever the thing is. People, kids can get student loans or grants or whatever it is to go to school. Diplomats are fanned out around the world to, smooth things over with other countries. And maybe some of the people who are gone would come back again, assuming everything goes well. But some of those people are lost forever. And I see it, I believe it has to be not like a new creation in terms of a new constitution or whatever, but I don't think there's can we get it back? It is, we need to rebuild. We need to build something new. We need to create something new because things have been lost.
Yeah. That's maybe a lot beyond my pay grade. I'll just admit it right now. In my heart, I want to believe it'll be easier to fix the structural part as opposed to fixing the idea of what America used to be. I don't know. Like I hope you're wrong. Like, because
I hope I'm wrong.
I know, I hope you're wrong. And I hope there's a way, but right now we're at baby steps, right? Right now we're at this place where we're questioning whether or not we can have fair elections, and people are redistricting. And, in California, we have to vote in November to redistrict against our public. Anyways, that's a whole other conversation, but basically, and well, it's so weird because I want to make sure we try to explain things to people, but in California, we have a separate group of people who actually are in charge of redistricting the state.
Independent commission that we voted to have.
That's right. That has nothing to do with politics or whatever. They're independent people who, and actually, I think that's where you and I were talking about, is that where we both applied to be part of that, and then we decided not to do it?
We were looking at it. I remember.
We were looking at it, right? I remember that, right? I
ever actually applied.
Right. So, and look at, they were doing that in order to be objective and to make sure that they represented each district correctly. And now, because of what's happened in Texas and basically Trump cheating and asking the governor there, what's his name? I can't stand that man either, because he's an enabler.
Abbott.
Yeah, Abbott, whatever. Abbott, the enabler, turned around and just said, yeah, we're just going to change it the way we want it so we can get more seats. That is cheating. There's no other way to explain that, people. It's cheating. So now the governor of California, Governor Newsom, has turned around and said, we're going to ask the people in November in a ballot. So we have to vote whether we want to get rid of, just for this time period, the independent redistricting of our state so that we can redistrict it to fight back against the 5 illegal seats that Texas is now doing. And it's ridiculous, but we're going to do it. We're going to do it, and we're going to vote yes, because that's what we're going to do in order to try to fight this. And it's like, that's the kind of bullshittery that you're talking about, that structural part is now being dismantled, right? Having an independent commission so that it's done in a fair way, because we have to fight in the way we need to fight in order to be able to have a fair election, which is weird.
Yes, I completely agree with you, right? Like, I loved the idea of the independent commission. I think all states should have it, right? It seems like that's the fair way to do it. And if you are against doing it fairly, it's because why? Because you can't win on a level playing field, right? And I absolutely hate the idea of saying, yeah, this thing that we voted for, we now essentially have to vote against and, play the game the way they're playing it. I hate that, right? But again, I go back to what we knew is gone. We have to work with what is. And what is that you have these states, now Missouri also looking at it.
And New York.
Are going to, redistrict away their, Democrat, districts where a Democrat would win. And so essentially removing those Democrats from office.
And,
right?
And retaliation, what's happening is New York is considering, and this is the tit for tat bullshittery that you're talking about. And look, I agree with you. I agree with you. And in the same respects, we have to fight the fight we're fighting because of democracy. And for all you Republicans and conservatives who listen to All About the Joy and are part of this community, I just have to say that I'm okay with you believing what you want to believe, but most of you don't have facts, which is why this show exists, And let me be clear as well. I am not a liberal to the left. I have always been more to the middle. And part of what we were going to talk about today is that most people who think they're Republicans are actually not Republicans. And this is one of those. Andrea's about to die.
I'm fine. I have facts.
And I'm going to let you look at, we were going to make the whole show about this, but maybe we can touch on it a bit. But that's kind of where we're coming from. Go ahead, Andrea.
Well, yeah. Okay. So I will say, yeah, I agree with you in that, I just want, like, if your ideas win in this sort of marketplace of ideas, why would you not want there to be fairness, right? And so to me, that just says something about, like, I just want to win at all costs. I don't want to win at all costs. I don't. I want it to be fair. And, my politics, the way I've always described it is I want the most good for the most people, right? That's the way that I describe it. And so, but to go back to the Republican thing, I guess I said this last week, most people are not Republicans, and we were going to talk about that. So I
did get a couple of people who reached out, which was interesting.
So I looked it up, again, sources are whatever they are. I looked it up on a website called usafacts.org, which is sourced from state government agencies on the registration of the people in their states. So as of August 2025, so just last month, there's 37.4 million registered Republicans in the United States. There are 44.1 million registered Democrats. So that's more. There are 34.3 million either registered as independent or didn't choose, right?
I'm non-party affiliate.
So some of those people could lean right, some could lean left. Nonetheless, they are not registered Republicans. And then, just to be fair, there are 3.1 million people in, I guess, lesser parties, I guess is the way they described it. So Green Party, Libertarian, whatever. So that could be a mix as well of right and left. But the fact of the matter is, I didn't say most people are Democrats. I said most people are not Republicans, and most people, by this data, are not Republicans. Whatever that means, again, to go back to what you said, speak facts or don't speak.
Right. I think the other part of it too is just when you think about what it means to be a Republican, and that has changed because Trumpism has taken over the Republican Party, right? And so we might go into this a little bit later in another episode. We had to talk about Charlie Kirk a lot, but there's also this weird thing that people will always do, and I had to say it. They're like, the Republicans freed the slaves. Okay, so Lincoln was a Republican. He really was. That's true. But if you don't, this is how I know people do not know their history. At some point, and it was after I think the 1930s is where it became a big deal, the ideologies of both parties kind of switched. Now, that's a really simple way of saying that the Southern Democrats from back in the day were people that believed really, really conservative ideas. And then the Republicans were in the North, right? They were in the North. So when you talk about Lincoln being somebody who is a Republican and you try to use that as your way to feel good about your party, you don't know your history. This is why people will associate people like Barack Obama with Lincoln, right? That's why, because if Lincoln was around today, he would be a Democrat. So you have to know your history. And it's something I think we should talk about even on that end, even things like Social Security. You can't be okay with Social Security because it affects you and then claim that it's socialist for everyone else. You know what I mean? Like it's a weird thought process. You want great streets. You want public places that have police officers, that have bridges, that have good roads. All of that would be considered democratic policies. You know what I mean? That would be socialism. It's not.
You want a weekend. You want holiday pay.
Yes. You want to be treated fair at work. All of those things. And so when we start getting into, and maybe we'll do it next week. It depends on what's in the news. Depends. Hard to say. But look I want people to take away from this show today, at the very least. I mean, I know we're going to be talking about Charlie Kirk for a long time or whatever, but besides that, start really figuring out what your identity is. Are you really a Democrat? Are you really a Republican? Do you really believe everything that the Trump administration is doing? Really? not just because you were around it and that's what you voted for and that's what you believe and no, and don't do the one, what is it, one policy vote person. You know how people vote for one thing and that's what they are.
Voter.
What is it?
Single issue voter.
Yeah, don't be nuance.
I mean, yeah, that's my great hope is that people actually really think about what are my values? What do I believe in? What is actually important to me? Aside from what is happening all around me, aside from what my parents or my family taught me, what my church, what my school, whatever, and whatever it is, okay, but make sure that it's actually yours and that it's actually what you believe. And it doesn't belong to a party or a, whatever.
Yeah. And I'm going to say something. I know we're going to lose a lot of followers, but Christians, I'm going to give you a shout out here and say, seriously, sit down and really think about what you believe and what your Bible seems to be telling you, because there are so many contradictions that are going on. And I will say this, not even kidding. I went to 12 years of Catholic school, and I'm not going to sit here and say I know more, but I know a lot more than a lot of you who pretend to be Christians. So I know. I probably shouldn't have said that, but it's just mind-boggling to me. Yeah. All right. I don't even know what else to say to close this out, but we're at that time period.
We need it, girl.
Right? I know. We appreciate you guys listening, and we hope you'll come back next week. We're going to keep having these conversations because it's real talk between two friends who don't always agree, but fundamentally we do, and we just want, I hate to say it this way because you're going to puke, but we want the world to be a better place.
We do. There's nothing wrong with that.
Okay, cool.
We would love for the world to be a better place, for people to feel good and be happy and joyful and not have to worry about getting shot in the streets. That's what we want.
That's what we want. Right. We want to be able to walk around freely and not be afraid. So remember to check us out on Friday nights, All About the Joy. We have our Friday night lives where everyone can come and hang out and just chill. And no, we don't talk about politics or religion. We may touch on it a bit. Well, I mean, it's a neighborhood hangout, so everyone is welcome. And of course, we also have our Sunday show, which is why can't I remember the name of our Sunday show? Lord Jesus. The Private Lounge. Yay! Sundays, 12 o'clock Pacific.
What? I said, it's private.
3 p.m. Eastern. And we really appreciate you being here. Remember, at the end of the day, it really is all about the joy. Bye, everyone. Thank you. Bye. Thanks for stopping by All About the Joy. Be better and stay beautiful, folks. Have a sweet day.